What's up, you guys? It is Street Nerd for the streets, and yeah, so we're doing a little nerdy video here. It's a little long form, something nice. First thing I want to talk about, honestly, let's just talk about keto. I'm not gonna lie, this has nothing to do with tech, right? But dude, guys, um, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I recorded a video earlier, and man, I sounded so choppy and like sluggish and whatnot, but guys, on this keto diet, like, oh my, I feel just higher energy. This feels like very efficient. Like I don't know if I'm on keto or whatnot. I think because like exercise and stuff like that, but you know. All right, so you guys, I am back. So yeah, we got some street nerd techie stuff. Again, I probably have to cut that out now. But I think so. Huh? Let me see. Yeah, so we were still recording. Yeah, so yeah, some street nerd techie stuff like that. Anyway, so yeah, I was talking about keto. By the way, keto is by far amazing. I'm not gonna lie. Like that with a combination of just heavy exercise to get you that like to burn through those carbs and it gets you in ketosis. Is like is it's a different energy feeling. So I think what I want to do is implement some type of cardio in my routine. I think for the long term, it'll just be beneficial for my work ethic, my grind. So what I plan with the Street Nerd channel is I plan on grinding, you guys, like creating content. I know every content's not going to be particularly perfect, and I understand that. And but I'm willing to put in the work right now. It's about plan, execution is key. Like I can sit there, go work a job and not put out a video, and work tons of overtime. But I think with the street nerd is I want to offer a lot of value. I want to offer a good bit of value, but then just talk about tech. Like talk about tech, talk about AI, talk about software. I like tech. So here I had the agenda for the day. We just talking about the tech shift. Tech is what's up. Like if you're not messing with tech, you're not messing with AI. Something like that. But it's not just know how to use it. Many people think I got to know how to use all these softwares. It's more of I think the shift is more of not just knowing how to use it, but being like I guess ahead of the infrastructure, if that makes sense. Is just like having the people utilize the infrastructure of AI. And so AI itself is not bad, but the people who use AI can make it very bad as well. So with all these things in mind, I think if you're afraid of tech and AI, I just want to offer a lighter perspective on that. Is that it's never us. It's never the product. It's never the gun. It's never the AI. It's never all these things that makes this inherently bad. It's always stems down to people, to man, to people. We're evil by nature, and so I think that is just a different perspective. It's like we turn things that are meant for good, for great things, even beautiful things that we turn for just not so good things. And that's the reality of the situation here. So when you think of AI, I know it's not common or it's controversial to say we are bad people. Like that's horrible to say. We are evil people. Like you know what I mean? Like like many people don't want to think that about people, but that is the reality of the situation here. Is whether you believe it or not, we are by nature we just inclined to do wrong things. I'm sorry, like that's the truth. And can that be changed? Well, yeah, I'm not a particularly religion channel, but can that be changed? And my only answer is, it's by the grace of God. That's my only answer. So anyway, as far as gaming, PS4, PS5, so we can talk about some of the DRM stuff. As far as for privacy. Um, so Sony, I guess we can kind of maybe look it up a little bit. So Sony made something with I think it's the DRM policy or whatever, something like that. Uh, so all right, so yeah, so starting March 26th, what's today? Um, okay, so it's May 2nd. Um, Starting March, Sony. Hold on, let me make sure. Am I recording the right thing? Yeah, so Sony will be doing the DRM. I don't know if they're on DRM, which is like you have to have a license, a one-time verification. So the game can be played offline indefinitely unless it's reinstalled or the console undergoes a significant. Okay, so here let's actually read this. Actually, so Sony recently updated its DRM system for digital games on PS4 and PS5. Initially, reports suggested a recurring 30-day online check, causing widespread concerns amongst players about offline access and true ownership of digital games. However, Sony clarified that systems only require a one-time online verification to confirm the game license. Once this verification is complete, the game can be played offline indefinitely unless it's reinstalled or the console undergo significant hardware changes. So, I think this is interesting. I don't think this is necessarily bad thing. I don't necessarily think it's a good thing either, as far as the privacy scene. As you know, some of the warnings that we used to get with the DVDs, which kind of made piracy more like the better option. You know what I mean? I'm not an advocate for piracy. I am an advocate for buying your own games. As I say that now, I struggle with it deeply because, like who wants to play for all those Wii games? Like I have tons of Wii games, and you got to pay like $50 for a lot of them. It costs you up northwards to $1,000+ right? Some of our old Wii games, jailbroken, and different things like that. So you struggle with these different things, and while also at the same time, you can't be an advocate for piracy. Okay, you know, e- even though sometimes I know that you don't realize that you're affecting the creator of the game or whatever, um, you are. Okay, you just are because you get it for free, right? And many people think, well, why not let me just download? It's just easier. Well, you get it for free, then it indirectly affects the other person. You know what I mean? The person who created the game, the jobs, the employees, the sales of the because you got it for free. Right. And that's what's actually going on. And that's actually another perspective. Most people are on the favor of the free DRM. It's easier, da 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 da. I'm not, it's not like I'm particularly against it, but it's just like you do have to also take this into account that, yeah, it does affect people without you per se realizing it. Right. And I know a lot of you guys are, here for my channel for different free things and free value and free things. But you know, it's something good about contributing. You know what I mean? Which is like not taking so much, but let's learn how to give a little bit more. Let's give more to the community. But with that being said, I'm not the open source community is a giving community. Like they made tons of projects, tons of contribution. That's what they're about. So my thing is like let's stand on that. Let's stand on the contribution, the giving with the open source community. And yeah, but yeah, so as far as DRM, if you're not familiar with that is, that's just like a kind of a lock or a license protection. So when you buy the game, it just checks online basically, and what it does since it checks online, um, it has to confirm ownership of the game. Then once it confirms ownership, then you can then play the game offline and things like that. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with it, but I think you are going to increase the piracy and the different tricks and hacks. You're going to bring more hackers to the scene. That's going to like, oh, you want to play that game? Okay, like it's a game of cat and mouse without even realizing it. You're asking for more hackers and flooded and different things like that. But it is what it is. So that's where we see the shift in tech. We can even take this to streaming as well. We need a subscription for everything. You know what I mean? And people are not liking it. We need a subscription for everything. And then when you get the subscription, do you think you have the show that you want to watch? They remove the show. It's becoming a hassle, and a lot of the people are not happy with the streaming. Um, you know, I don't know. So I don't know if sales went down. Uh, cause. But um, so yeah, I think this is interesting too. Yahoo, cable. Of course, cable has always been in a decline. Okay, like I don't use cable personally. I don't know why anybody would use cable, but it is what it is. But yeah, we're gonna see a massive shutdown in the streaming the services. And right now, there's just a lot of people that want to do it the right way, and they don't have as much information. But as the information started getting out there, you know, a lot of people are going to be canceling the Disney Plus, the Netflix, the Paramounts. I'm not saying that they're not going to have customers. They definitely are because you need those people in order to get it out there essentially. So you have like just ninjas basically just leaking the stuff out to streaming services, and the streaming services are winning, which is basically just have a couple ads in the app, and in return you get to watch whatever streaming service you want. And that's what's happening here. So there's not really much to say to this. It's just like this is all a result of like locking things and the control in the shift. And they might just have to be a better solution because this can be getting out of hand. And these companies are not going to make any money. Like they're going to make very little compared to what they could make. And then they're going to keep trying to raise prices, but you're affecting the people who are doing it the right way. You're not affecting the people who are doing it not so right. But on top of that, streaming itself is not illegal. You know what I mean? And so you got to consider that too. Streaming is a temporarily of the download. You're streaming the site, but it's not. You know, is streaming. And I want to. Uh, okay, this is interesting. So I guess it depends. I guess there's cases where streaming could be illegal, but um, here let's see. Our free streams. Look, it just gives me all the good sites to go to. Okay, cool. So yeah. So it looks like there's a couple cases where there's different streaming sites that could be illegal, and there's some that's not. Um, but it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, this isn't going to change. So we're kind of all connected to the same thing. Is yeah. So speaking of different breaks and different things like that, that we should be discussing is the AI jailbreak. I actually thought this was quite interesting. Um, Here I can just load it up on YouTube. Um, Here's just go over here. Uh, no. So let's just go here and let's go to my history and we can just look at some of this stuff. I think the last time I was watching, yeah. So I don't know. I always like to bring up the Geohot situation, but let's see. Okay, so maybe I didn't look it up, but anyway, the AI jailbreak. Um, I just thought this was kind of interesting. Not that interesting, but interesting. Okay, I'm saying not that interesting. It's very much interesting. There, so there's like this. There was this video that I was watching. It classes Geohot. That's what's going on now. You know what I mean? You're gonna get a whole bunch. Okay, it's good. Uh, AI jailbreak Claude. Okay, so literally, literally right here. This is the one I watched. That they have an AI jailbreak. This guy in this video, he creates engine, a Fortnite engine jailbreak, and I thought that was by far very interesting. And like I said, it always goes to like, you know what I mean. It's not particularly the AI that's bad per se. You know, sometimes we can do it, but I don't see any. There's nothing inherently wrong with this at the moment. But the issue with, okay, you have the Sony consoles, you have the the jailbreak on the AI, right? Here's the issue: is like, we get it. You should be able to do whatever you want with your device. You should be able to do whatever you want. Well, I guess that's not the same conversation because you technically don't own the AI. But what happens is like, the thing is, a creator has a specific objective in mind, and you know they wanted this to be used for this specific thing, right? And so it's not being used in that particular way. You get where I'm going. The argument to that, the counter argument to that, where most people go is like, do I own the device or not? So it shouldn't matter however you intended it to be, right? Because I own it, right? And fair. That's fair. That's a fair point. But those are just two different conversations, right? So yeah, I thought this was interesting though with the AI jailbreak. So here, so this guy say he found out about it. So he goes to this website, the console Hey Dave. So you guys can check it out. But like, yeah, there's a AI jailbreak essentially that's like uncensored. So he literally, in the end of this video, he asks for how to create Fortnite, you know, cheats basically in C++. And Claude was pretty much able to do it and come up with it using the site, at that, I think it was like Hello Dev or something like that, Hazy Dev, with the agent builder. So it's quite interesting. Let's just listen. So yeah, quite interesting. A private, uncensored AI. You know what I mean? So like, think about things you can do with that. So anyway, I just think it's all kind of interesting. The interesting scene, how AI is taking it. So yes, tech money ideas. Yeah, we're pretty much doing everything with technology. So there's gonna just be more videos of that, and money ideas, and I think it's a good economy to, or a good place to be able to take advantage of this stuff. Uh, just know how to utilize this to make something. So what I'm building, videos I'm working on. So I'm working on some good videos. First getting started off into tech, to help people do that. I think that's priority. That's priority, but this help people utilize everything tech. Fintech banks. There's banks that people don't know about that can help them build their credit. There's just a different technology that people don't know about that they can get helped. And I think that is important. It's just literally just offering just great content, right? So this is not going to be your typical everyday content. Like me, I'm just kind of ranting. I'm going off the fly, but I want to make great content, um that talks about app concepts and videos I'm working on. Or I mean, no, no, this is the content where I talk about that stuff. But I want to be able to get away. This is kind of my video where I get away from the everyday content, right? So the everyday content looks like animation video, and it's kind of scripted a little bit. I come up with a nice script. I can show y'all a little behind the scenes if y'all want to see that. Just let me know how I come up with the scripts and different things like that. But I want to just give you just kind of the raw feel, my thought process, what I'm thinking, how I'm thinking, like, and I think it's beneficial to have that uploaded on YouTube. Is like, what am I thinking about? Like, what are the processes? What are some things I'm thinking about? That way, I can redefine it and always have it as far as like AI goes and different things like that. So uh yeah. Anyway, so how I'm thinking about tech is you need to have some type of infrastructure, but then there needs to be some type of brand or authority and trust. And you need to own the infrastructure. So if you can own the infrastructure and someone's willing to pay you for that in the authority space where it's a lot of trust, you're pretty much on top of with AI. And so that's kind of the direction it's heading at. It's like more of like, do I trust this guy? Right? Because everything's AI now. And so it's like, what do you trust? What is your source of truth? And that's another topic is like, can we get to the truth? And are people afraid of the truth? That's a good question there. So those are kind of the areas I'm thinking about. What am I building? I'm building a couple different um, software stuff. So some cool software concept releases should be coming out. Probably not in this one. I'm not gonna go too much into that, but later on, I will go through more on that. But yeah, final thoughts. I think this is a game of control versus freedom, but not just control versus freedom, but it's like, but in control versus freedom, there has to be limits, I believe. And so that's my final thoughts on everything. That's just the agenda for the day, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the behind the scenes street nerds. Sorry that I don't have like multiple things to just go off of, but this is kind of a new video. It's like my first agenda video that I ever done. But I think it's also important that I give you the raw, just not the animation and the scripted street nerd, but I give you the street nerd, techie, nerdy. And this is for all my street nerds out there who like to get very nerdy and just want to know more of how I'm thinking about things, get more insights, learn a little bit more. This is just for my learners out there who want to chop it up with AI, just have questions about it. And I just want to answer a lot of those questions and a lot of those insights, and just get that way I can still communicate with people without just scripted, just looking all that scripted stuff. So anyway, with that being said, that is it. I am street nerd. We are out of the streets and we going back inside. Peace.